things that when you first came and said, hey, can I attend your event? And then sitting down and listening to the feedback that, to be honest, wasn't very positive.
No,
because no one welcomed you. Nobody said hi. And, as a nonprofit leader, I mean, that was 14 years ago. To hear that, you just kind of go, ooh. Now, someone could have said, yeah, whatever, I don't care what this person has to think. But then look at how this has all blossomed over all these years.
Well, yeah, and especially for you, because your revenue has
shot up every year.
Every year.
Just continues.
And that's, you can't always guarantee that, but the story is my wife and I attended, because I was just kind of getting started in this. We went to her event, and we got to see it from the eyes of someone who wasn't into it as much. Like, I've been to a few of them, of course, but my wife hadn't been to too many, and so I got her feedback of what was the registration process like. And I think we overlook a lot of that, of what does it look like for a guest, because we've done it so much. We know these packages forward and backwards, we know the timeline, we know the speakers, we know the script, and so we just assume everybody else does.
Right.
And when it comes down to it, these guys are seeing it for the first time, and maybe we're not as clear as we should have been. And so I did approach you, and I just said, hey, I have some ideas.
Right.
If you'd be willing to listen. And we sat down, and yeah, we turned it around the next year. I'm sure you more than doubled.
Oh, yes, we did.
What you did the year before. So
I need to let the listeners know, Jonathan and I did not talk about anything in depth of what we were going to talk about today, correct?
Yeah, I'm not very good at planning. If you've worked with me, you know that. So
I'm going to bring up a topic.
Okay.
So for people out there that already have an event, and you're thinking, oh, you know what? I don't need an auctioneer because I've got so-and-so that is an auctioneer, and he does it for free. And he comes in and he does it. So I'm going to give you some advice. We had that too. And our live auction, it did fair. Wasn't great. Because the auctioneer, he was a great guy. Nice, wonderful. But showed up about 10 minutes prior to the live auction, looked at the stuff, did his part, and then left. Okay? Even though we wanted him to stay, we encouraged him to stay, we got him information, trying to get him more invested in what we were doing. But he was doing it for free, and he's a busy man. So when you pay for the service, you are going to get tenfold back, if not more, only because the Larsen and Larsen team is completely invested in what the live auction is. They're trying to get more information. They give you feedback of, hey, did you think about adding this, or let's put these in this order because let's change this up just a little bit. And that's what we experienced, because you were more involved in, remember the year that we got my great friend Justin over at Juna Bed to donate the bed?
Oh, yeah.
And then you and I were laying on the bed. And we did, we got the director and the auctioneer in bed together.
Yeah. Now,
some of you might say that's kind of racy, but I will tell you what, our entire audience was dying laughing.
Yeah.
And so you got to make it fun, because if you don't make it fun in fundraising, you're not raising money.
Yeah, and I think you can have, really bump here, you can have fun, and you can kind of go play off of each other like that when you have an event that's so well put together, and when you're used to working with each other. Like, we work months and months beforehand. Yes. We have several meetings and phone calls, and I know the ins and outs. So if somebody comes up to me and asks me a question, I know how to answer it, so you don't have to be bothered with it, first and foremost. But that is how it works. We have fun with these kind of things, and we don't take ourselves too serious. It's a serious thing, but we're not afraid to have fun and let people have fun as well. So,
and that's the biggest thing. The only time someone's going to know that something went wrong is if your face shows it or you say it.
Yeah.
We've had, I remember the one year, before you, Jonathan, my auctioneer didn't show up, and my music person didn't show up either.
Oh, wow.
So we just kind of went with the flow, and nobody knew the difference because we went with the flow. So it's really about just not taking it seriously. And look at this year. This was the first year that the St. Francis House had an MC. We were blessed to have Tom Hansen from Kello up there with you.
Yep.
And it pulled me out so that I didn't have to be on the stage the whole time. I could be out there visiting with the attendees, talking to donors, answering questions, getting feedback. It was great. So been doing it that was our 21st annual.
Yeah.
It was the first time we had an MC because somebody suggested, let's go that next step. And so we'll definitely do that next year. And then Tom had ideas as someone who attended for about 4 years and then now was the MC. He's got some great ideas of things that can help me and which will then help the entire fundraiser.
Yeah, and I think that's just what it comes down to. The organizations I like working with are best suited for me are the ones that say, hey, we are here, but we want to get here.
Yep.
They're willing to grow. I've had some that I've met with and they want to do better, but they don't want to change anything.
But they want you to raise more money.
But they want me to raise more money with what they have, and they don't want to pay for me to do that. You know, but if in their minds they don't want to change, it's really hard for me to come in there and then get, fought at every corner. And I'm not saying you have to change everything up.
No.
But sometimes, again, that timeline, you flip a few things here or there, that equates to a lot more money, or you change your live auction order around,
yes.
or how you do your fund emission. Things like that could really make a difference. So
remember the simple thing of us just putting, having the dessert part right before heads and tails.
Oh yeah.
And why is that? Because they get a sugar rush.
Yep.
Because of the dessert. And then it's wanting to get up and have fun. Then they're all laughing and having a good time. And then you put in those first auction packages that isn't your top one.
Yeah.
It's a couple soft ones to get them in there. And then you go in. But the biggest part is also doing your best to keep people at the end, because people will leave. So you have to have the ability to read your audience and making sure that you always have some things at the end to keep them. Maybe it is everybody gets a ticket and you have to be present to win.
Yep.
And it is a trip and you might go, oh my gosh, how can we afford to do that? But how can you afford to have people leave? And then what you're making on the other auction packages goes down.
Exactly, and you never want to do that, especially the fund emission. You want to make sure those people are there, because even if they give you $50, $100, $250, whatever it is, it all adds up. And plus, it keeps that momentum in the room going. And a lot
Correct.
of what I do is I want to keep everybody entertained. I don't want just the people who are bidding to be interested. I want everybody to be having a good time and things like that. So
Yes.
there's a lot to it. But once you kind of get that formula down and you know what your audience is like and what they're about, you can raise significant amount of money with even fewer people.
Yeah, and when they always say, oh my gosh, you got to have all these people, that's not necessarily the case. You could have less people and make the same amount per person as if you had 1,000 people there. So it's also making sure that every single person knows that they have you thanked them, that they felt welcomed, and that you follow up with them, because you don't know that person that attended. Maybe they didn't give a gift, but are you losing out on a volunteer opportunity or a future donor? You need to cultivate that relationship. I often say it all starts with a can of peas. So maybe they only gave you $50, as we talked about.
Yep.
But the next time, who knows what it could be.
And I tell my clients the same thing, and I probably learned it from you, is that sometimes people test out organizations. Mm-hmm. They'll give $100, they'll give $200, and see what kind of response they get back.
Correct.
Do I get a thank you for that? Do I feel necessary, because they
Right.
want to be a part of that success. Everybody wants to be part of that success. So you got to make them feel welcome at every level. But then do you take it that step further and really go after those people? So what do you guys do after your fundraiser for people that say give at the fund mission and stuff like that?
Well, everybody who gives at the fund mission level, or just maybe didn't give at the fund mission but just left money, everybody gets a thank you and is within a timely manner. And for us, we are a little bit different than some nonprofits. We handwrite all of our thank yous still.
Okay.
We want to make them very personable. And if someone, for example, gave us, I'm just going to say $100, and they also bought maybe one of the packages, we might make that note in there as well. Hope you enjoy your coffee package, and thank you very much for the $100 gift. And making sure that they get that in a timely manner.
Yeah.
And here's a big thing. It doesn't always have to be from the one person that's writing it. Sometimes it's also nice to have some of your staff be involved in it, because then they see the impact of, wow, you know, every little bit helps, and this is what it takes to raise the funds to do the work that we do every day.
Very good. So before we close, what is one insight, tip, word of wisdom that you would share?
It's kind of a twofold.
Okay.
Okay. First of all, don't stress about it. Just let it go. Enjoy the evening and have fun, because as I said earlier, no one's going to know something went bad unless you let it.
Yeah.
So fake it to make it. And I think the other part is, with our challenging times and the economy all over the place and giving, sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down, is keep an open mind. Be creative. Just because an agency is doing a fundraiser one way and they raise a lot of money does not mean that you have to stop what you're doing and go do that because they did it.
Yeah.
Enjoy that, because if they're successful, then we're successful. So everybody kind of has their niche. You know, some will do a dinner and auction, some will do, you know, chase the ace, some will do other big events where they will just do a complete fundraising with no silent auction packages.
Yeah.
And whatever you do, just make sure you're reading your crowd and hearing what they have to say.
Oh, very good. Well, that is going to conclude it for this episode. We thank you for being with us. Thank you, Julie, so much.
Love it. Thanks, guys.
Such a fun guest and friend. So we'll see you on the next one.